The stereotypically American rock and roll star Buddy Holly was known for his signature spectacles and spotless persona. Tragically, his life was cut short in an airplane crash on February 3, 1959, a date so monumental that it is often called the death day of music. Now, after his death, new shocking details have resurfaced, and you won't believe what Buddy Holly's brother just revealed about him. Could this finally be the true story about his death? Well, don't skip, because we are about to find out. This new revelation will send chills down your spine. Early life and humble career beginnings. Charles Harden. Holly, popularly known as Buddy Holly, was born for the first time on September 7, 1936, in Lubbock, Texas. Buddy was born into a musical family, so he was exposed to music at a young age and quickly learned the importance of a catchy tune. There was no way that his parents, Lawrence and Ella Holly, could have known that their fourth child would one day revolutionize the music industry in the United States. While Buddy's mother was a stay-at-home mom, Buddy's father was employed in the tailoring industry. When Buddy was younger, his two older brothers taught him the fundamentals of playing the guitar during jam sessions, which were a favorite activity for the family. By the time Buddy moved on to high school, he had already developed a deep love for music. Rock and roll was just starting to make its presence known, and little Buddy couldn't get enough of it until it was fully established. His particular affection was directed toward Elvis Presley. Early on in his youth, he came to the realization that music was more than simply a pastime for him. Born in a family that they all loved music, there was no way Buddy wouldn't have ended up as an artist. All members of the Holly family, with the exception of L.O., were able to sing or play an instrument, showing that the Hollys had a huge passion for music. The older Holly brothers participated in local talent shows, and Buddy Holly joined them on the violin on one of those occasions. Due to the fact that he was unable to play it, his brother Larry would oil the bow in order to prevent it from making any noise. The competition was won by the brothers. Larry and Travis were both drafted into the military during World War II during that time period. Larry brought a guitar that he had purchased from a fellow shipmate while he was serving in the Pacific. He brought it with him when he returned. Buddy began taking piano lessons when he was 11 years old, at the suggestion of his mother, but he stopped taking them after 9 months. Following his observation of a fellow student playing and singing on the school bus, he decided to switch to playing the guitar. Additionally, Travis was the one who taught him how to play the acoustic guitar that his parents had purchased for him from a pawn shop in the neighborhood. The music of Hank Williams, Jimmy Rogers, Moon Mulligan, Bill Monroe, Hank Snow, Bob Wills, and the Carter family were some of the artists that had an impact on Holly when he was a young child. Holly became acquainted with Bob Montgomery while she was attending Roscoe Wilson Elementary School. The two of them played together, practicing with tunes by Johnny and Jack and the Louvin brothers. The Grand Ole Opry on WSM Louisiana, Hayride on KWKH, and Big D Jamboree were the 3 radio programs that they both listened to. During this time, Holly collaborated with a number of other musicians, including Sonny Curtis and Jerry Allison, whom he had met during his time in high school. Holly Neal and Jack Neal took part in a talent competition on a local television show in the year 1952. They were labeled as Buddy and Jack, and they performed as a trio. Early struggles and small triumphs. Holly made the decision to pursue a career in music on a full-time basis not long after he graduated from Lubbock High School in the year 1955. His experience of seeing Elvis Presley perform live in Lubbock, whose show was booked by Pappy Dave Stone of KDF, proved to be an additional source of inspiration for him. At the Cotton Club in April, Holly served as the opening act for Elvis Presley at the Fair Park Coliseum in February. He also performed at the Coliseum once more in June this year. At that point in time, Holly had already recruited Larry Wellborn on stand-up bass and Allison on drums into his band. This was owing to the fact that his style had moved from country and western to rock and roll as a result of witnessing Presley live and listening to his songs over the course of his career. During the month of October, Stone secured a booking for Bill Haley and his Comets, and arranged for Holly to make an appearance as the opening act for Nashville scout Eddie Crandall. After being impressed, Crandall was able to convince Jim Denny, the manager of the Grand Ole Opry, to ask for a recording contract for Holly. Stone mailed a sample tape to Denny, who then referred it to Paul Cohen, who offered the band a recording contract with Decca Records in February of 1956. Due to the fact that Decca typed Holly's surname incorrectly as Holly in the contract, he became known as Buddy Holly from that point forward, rather than through his real name, Holly. Following a brief period of time spent performing with a bluegrass band, Buddy started experimenting with his own unique sound. Due to the fact that his early recordings did not generate a great deal of noise, Buddy found himself wishing for a break. This breakthrough occurred when a talent scout from Decca Records made him an offer of a contract, but the path to this point was anything but without difficulty. The decision to not renew his contract was made by Decca following a string of recording sessions that produced results that were not particularly noteworthy. Buddy ventured back to Lubbock, where he established a new band called the Crickets. He was dissatisfied, but not defeated by the situation. It was because of this group that Buddy was able to finally find success. This distinctive combination of rock and roll and country twang that the Crickets performed struck a chord with the general population. The song That'll Be the Day, which was Buddy, and his band's first major smash propelled them to the forefront of national stardom. One of the phrases from the John Wayne film The Searchers served as the inspiration for the song, and it didn't take long for it to become the most popular song in the world, Life in the Spotlight. As soon as That'll Be the Day became popular, there was no turning back. After it, there were further hits such as Oh Boy and Peggy Sue. Through their appearances on big national television series such as The Ed Sullivan Show and American Bandstand, the band was able to solidify their position as a prominent figure in the rock and roll scene. Fans flocked to see them perform in droves because of their music, which was characterized by Buddy's particular vocal technique and his one-of-a-kind voice. Following their success on the charts, Buddy Holly and the Crickets went on to release a variety of other songs. They made works that will endure forever. As the young culture began to emerge, songs such as Rave On and Maybe Baby became anthems for the culture. Their music was unique in that it incorporated elements of rock rhythm and blues and country together in a way that had never been heard before. However, what truly distinguished Buddy from others was his talent as a songwriter. Buddy, in contrast to many of his predecessors, took the initiative to write the majority of his own songs, thereby leaving behind a legacy of unique singles that would survive for decades. Buddy's romantic relationships. On August 15, 1958, Holly tied the knot with Maria Elena Santiago, who worked as a receptionist for a New York record studio. The ceremony took place at Tabernacle Baptist Church, nestled in his hometown of Lubbock, Texas. During the year 1959, Santiago was expecting their first child, but she experienced a miscarriage which occurred just after Holly passed away. It had only been 6 months since they had tied the knot. Holly's classic song, Peggy Sue, was influenced by Peggy Sue Gerron, who was the idea behind the song. They had a playful connection, and Gerron had known Holly while she was in school, when she was dating drummer Jerry Allison. Holly and Gerron had a relationship that was flirtatious. They tied the knot on July 22, 1958, Guerin and Allison. Two married couples went on their honeymoon together to Acapulco, which is located in Mexico. Holly's own marriage to Santiago was criticized for being distant and hostile, and it was speculated that the couple was on the verge of getting a divorce. In the latter half of 1958, Holly had also suggested to Gerron that he divorce Allison due to his drinking conduct, but she had denied her offer. However, Guerin would eventually divorce Allison in 1965, despite the fact that the act of divorce was completely against her Catholic beliefs. Holly recorded a demo version of one of his final songs, Peggy Sue Got Married, which was about the marriage of Guerin and Allison. This tape was recorded in December of 1958. Buddy was known to have a fiercely independent spirit. Buddy Holly was more than simply a geek-chic, spectacle-wearing musician. His complicated personality belied his ferocious independence. Few are aware of Buddy's defiant streak, but most fans remember him for his neat appearance. Buddy seized control of his music at a period when musicians generally had little say over it. To defend his artistic title, he was unafraid to battle. Even after severing relations with Decca Records due to artistic disputes, he remained a terrific musician. He then pioneered the practice of performers taking charge of their careers by writing, producing, and performing their own songs. Moreover, he favored unconventional musical instruments. Despite his fame as a guitarist, he had a profound fondness for non-traditional sounds. He used a celeste, an obscure keyboard instrument that was virtually unknown in its day, to record every day. Neither was this an isolated incident. A glimpse into the past it was. Imagine instead a future artist who is more imaginative, who isn't afraid to try new things, and who isn't afraid to break new ground in music. The true story behind his death. Holly had booked a Beechcraft Bonanza, which could seat 4 people from Dwyer Flying Service in Mason City, Iowa, for Jennings Alsop and himself on February 2nd, the day before they were to appear at Clear Lake, Iowa. Holly proposed that they take a plane from Clear Lake's Surf Ballroom to Moorhead, Minnesota, via Fargo, North Dakota, so they could get some sleep, wash their clothing, and skip the long bus ride. Alsop agreed to toss a coin for the seat with Richie Valens II after the Clear Lake show ended, which was shortly before midnight. Upon winning, Valens allegedly said, "That's the first time I've ever won anything in my life." This was after he turned heads. In Fort Worth, Texas, Alsop eventually established Heads Up Saloon, a restaurant and bar. The big bopper J.P. Richardson, who was sick with the flu and found the tour bus to be too chilly and unpleasant for a guy of his stature, willingly took Waylon Jennings' seat. In spite of the bad weather, pilot Roger Peterson took off. However, he lacked the necessary certification to fly solely by instruments. It took Larry Holly Buddy's brother a full year to acquire the report from the Civil Aeronautics, but he finally did. In it, they mentioned that the plane had a new Sperry gyroscope installed. When compared to other gyros, the Sperry's operation is unique. On one, the backdrop changes while the plane remains still. On the other, the reverse is true. The plane moves while the backdrop remains static. They were descending, but the pilot could have been reading it backwards. They believed they were still climbing. Holly, Valens, Richardson, and Peterson perished in the plane crash that occurred 5 miles northwest of Clear Lake just after departure at about 1 a.m. on February 3, 1959. Severe head and chest injuries were sustained by the 3 musicians after they were thrown from the fuselage during impact. Holly held the age of 22. The report failed to address the fact that a farmer discovered Holly's firearm 2 months subsequent to the accident. Some fans speculated that the pilot had been shot leading to the crash after reading about the gun's finding in the newspaper. Curiously, while the others were located in or near the wreckage, Richardson's body was found about 40 feet away from the crash. But in 2007, at the Sun's request, an autopsy was conducted on Richardson, and nothing came out to back up the rumors. The University of Tennessee's forensic anthropologist, Dr. Bill Bass, said there was no indication of foul play and that Richardson died immediately. The Lubbock Tabernacle Baptist Church was the site of Holly's funeral on February 7, 1959. Ben D. Johnson, who had presided over the wedding of the Hollys a few months prior, officiated the event. Pallbearers included Sonny Curtis, Bob Montgomery, Nikki Sullivan, Joe B. Malden, and Jerry Allison. Although Phil Everly, half of the duo, The Everly brothers denied being a pallbearer at the burial. He did attend. Unfortunately, Waylon Jennings had to cancel his attendance due to his commitment to the winter dance party, which is still traveling. The city of Lubbock Cemetery, located in the city's eastern section, was the site of Holly's internment. An accurate spelling of his last name, Holly, and a depiction of his Fender Stratocaster guitar adorn Holly's tombstone. As soon as Santiago heard the news of Holly's death, he turned on the television. Her miscarriage occurred the next day. In Lubbock, Texas, Holly's mom heard the news and went down in a fit of hysteria. In the months after the disaster, some government officials instituted a policy to withhold the names of victims until their families were notified in response to Elena's miscarriage. Neither the funeral nor the graveyard have ever been visited by Santiago. The saga of Buddy Holly's iconic glasses. Now let's delve into something really intriguing, and that is the story of Buddy Holly's mysterious glasses. His glasses vanished after he passed away, as if they had been lost to the annals of historic records. Surprisingly, they were discovered at a judicial storage box more than 20 years after they had been lost. On the other hand, discovering them was only the beginning of yet another difficulty. There was a legal battle that ensued between Maria Buddy's widow and Buddy's parents on who should legitimately be the owner of these iconic frames. In the end, the glasses were delivered to Maria, who promptly sent them to the Buddy Holly Center in Lubbock, Texas. There they are currently being displayed as a memorial to the enduring legacy that he left behind. In Buddy's family life, there was a complicated tapestry of highs and lows that he experienced. His brood of brothers had a tumultuous relationship which was spurred by professional competition and emotional issues that were never completely resolved. Buddy was a talented student when he was younger, but he was also a bit of a troublemaker. He frequently played pranks that annoyed his teachers, but filled his peers with joy. There are a lot of people who are unaware of this reality. There was no cause for alarm regarding Buddy's fascination with mysticism. It was well known that he possessed a collection of books that discussed supernatural occurrences. At one point, he had sought the advice of a fortune teller on his professional life. The fortune teller gave him a threatening warning on the future. The terrible forecast appears to have been chillingly prophetic in hindsight, but he brushed it off at the time. Buddy's legacy in music lives on. Buddy Holly had a huge impact on music that has persisted long after he passed away. As one of the original members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he served as an inspiration to many artists, including Bruce Springsteen and the Beatles. For him, Buddy's music was like of ideas. The 1986 issue of The New Yorker included Buddy Holly as an honoree. Countless unfinished recordings, solo transcriptions of Buddy Holly's new compositions, informal jam sessions with bandmates, and demo tapes of songs meant for other artists were among Buddy Holly's possessions. In late 1958, he recorded his final 6 original songs at his apartment, which are the last known recordings of him. In June 1959, Coral Records attempted to recreate the cricket sound by overdubbing 2 of their songs with backing vocals provided by the Ray Charles Singers and other studio musicians. His record label was able to issue new albums and singles by Holly throughout the following decade due to the high demand for his music and his busy recording career. Norman Petty oversaw the production of the majority of these reissues, which incorporate previously unavailable studio masters, alternate takes audition tapes, and even low-fidelity vocals from amateur recordings that date back to 1954. As the 1969 album Giant was the last new one by Buddy Holly, it was selected for the song Love is Strange. What shocked you the most about Buddy Holly's story? Let us know in the comment section below. Be sure to smash that like button and turn on post notification to be the first to know when the next video is up.